Okay, we'll move on with the meeting attendance. Trustee Rich Anderson, Bill Kerrigan, Anna Holland, Barbara Oslier, myself, as well as Yesenia, attended the 2016 Community College National Legislative Summit in Washington, D.C. And obviously we were talking about money there as well. We had productive meetings with Congressman Bob Dole, Randy Holdren, and met briefly with Congressman Roskin. Staff welcomed us with his legislative aide, Hannah Schiller. And we also attended the ICC-TA event led by Trustee Osliger, where we had a chance to talk to Senator Durbin and Senator Kirk as well. It was a valuable meeting. I think a total $17 million I think we get from the state, federal government, excuse me, from the federal government. It was a valuable way of continuing to inform our legislators, federal legislators, of that $17 million and how important that gets, how important that is to us, particularly in the Pell Grants. And Yesenia led the way in the offices talking about the Pell Grants. So would you like to comment at all on any of the meetings?
Yeah, I just want to say that I'm so grateful to the board and the college for the opportunity. I never envisioned myself blogging before, so it was a really nice experience to do that. And I did emphasize how, being that we are not for sure receiving the math grants, the Pell Grant is so important. And we asked that it be even extended maybe to the summer semester, being that our students are part-time throughout the year and require that flexibility to also take school during the summer, so we were asking for that. And to also keep the maximum amount of the Pell Grant. So that's basically what we asked for in regards to the Pell Grant.
Other
just let me add something, because I think our student trustee is being very humble. The meeting that I hosted for the Illinois Community College Trustees Association, because I'm the state coordinator with Senators Durbin and Kirk, I have to tell you, our student trustees shined at that meeting and made a very, very compelling case for students, not only for the Pell Grants, but for the DREAM Act. And it's because of students like this that we bring to meet with our folks. I certainly think that it has an impact. So thank you so very much for doing a wonderful job.
I concur.
You as well. Other comments, Mike?
Yeah, we had great conversation with both Senators Kirk and Senator Durbin. But did Senator Kirk really say what I think he said about bankruptcy for the state of Illinois? I mean, when I reflect on what he said, it was like, did he really mean that? So it was, I don't know, after listening to the comptroller and then listening to Kirk's comments, it leaves me with somewhat of a unsteadiness about where the future does lie.
Well, if it helps, Senator Kirk will have nothing to do about a piece of legislation that may get passed.
Yes,
okay.
Very true.
So that helps rest your mind a bit. It will not be involved.
But I have to admit that I'm so impressed with our own Congressman Dole, who has always had a soft spot in his heart for the College of Lake County. And he always comes through for us and our students and our communities here in Lake County. I'm always grateful to visit in his office and leave with a good feeling and positive feeling. And Randy Holtgren couldn't have been more gracious and supportive of us also. And it really was a great opportunity to meet with them.
Thank you. Any others?
I have just a quick question.
Yes.
I made a note just reading Dr. Weber's comments. And this may sound a little cynical, and I apologize. I may have that cynical. It may be true. You said that the legislative summit was a success. So help me to understand, how is the success measured? How do we know, in fact, that it was a success? And how are we measuring that to make that statement? I'm just very curious about. That what?
Everybody came home.
Oh, well,
Safely.
I think that success there
Rich
is.
is gonna be the wild card now.
Yeah. Success there is meant in the context like Yesenia's comments that we talked about that got to be delivered directly. The fact that Senator Durbin saw our own trustee manage the whole reception in the area with them. The fact that we made contact. One of the things for Congressman Dole, when we talked to him, was saying, you know, if your race comes about and your opponent, would you come out to the College of Lake County and either have a debate or speak in tandem? And he agreed to do that, to come out to the college. So those are the kind of things. We're not talking about passing federal legislation or anything, but we're talking about making those kind of connections and then bringing them here. The same way, I think the other piece of that success is, you know, there is legislation that goes through, like Pell and other community college legislation. There's a tax credit the president has put forward. And we want to be out there and showing them we're there so they don't forget, because they get other people trooping through, and we just want to be on their minds. And as Trustee Anderson said, in the case of some of them, we are on their minds. You know, they are thinking about us. But it really helps, I think, when we have our trustees active and student active to kind of push that agenda forward. So maybe I shouldn't have said just it was a success like that, but that's the way.
I mean, you know, to articulate what we mean by success, so we can have it in written form, but also, is there a need to review with the people that you spoke with about what they said that they were going to do, and you know, because there's a lot of lip service in Washington, and you know, they may say one thing and may not remember what was said. So do we follow up?
Yes, we do, because I keep the green sheet from the previous year, and I asked Nick to prepare some remarks to us on how they voted if there was an issue.
The other thing too that I'll add from the state of Illinois' perspective, because I'm Illinois' state coordinator with the national organization, our meeting that we had with Kirk and Durbin, as you recall, we had a very robust discussion about the risk-sharing portion of a piece of legislation. And Senator Durbin is very much in favor of it, and we as community colleges, not only in Illinois but across the country, are very much opposed to it. When we came back to Illinois, I asked the president of our state association to follow up with both Senators Kirk and Durbin, not only to thank them for meeting with us, but to also strongly reinforce our position on the risk-sharing portion of the legislation, that one piece alone could cost us millions of dollars.
Great example. Another example was in that exchange with Durbin himself, where he asked us questions and said, well, what about this? How do we look at the issues with for-profits and that impact you? And then it was an open discussion with the trustees and his staff and that. So I mean, I think that helps him understand and Senator Kirk understand these legislative nuances of the risk sharing.
No tax on student defaults. The student defaults, we made it very clear to both of them that we strongly oppose that tax on a student defaults.
So those are examples. Yeah. Good question.
Okay. Again, I asked all of the trustees to contact your legislators in your districts. If you're comfortable doing that, please do that. We have plenty of talking points that we prepared. Let them know the way you feel, and the urgency of getting a budget completed, however way they can do it. But that's the only way it's going to happen is from the legislature, and hopefully something that they can all live with that the governor will sign. That concludes my report.